Welcome to the Andes Physics Tutor. This video should give you everything you need to get up and started with Andes, so let me show you around. Up here at the top we have our menus. First is the physics menu where you find principles, units, and constants. We'll take a look at those later. You have your help menu here where you have a brief introduction if you want to just glance and read over it afterwards. It says basically what I'm going to say. The intro video, you can watch this again, or a manual, and we'll check that out in a second too. This main area right here is the drawing pane. This is where the problem is presented. It's also where you have answer boxes where you can input your answer once you solved it. Then you have your canvas. The idea behind Andes is we want it to be a lot like your scratch pad. We want you to be able to draw out the bodies, draw out your equations, and have them all in one place. And so that's what you do here. On the side we have our help tutor. You can click there to collapse it, click to reopen it. Inside you'll get solicited and unsolicited hints. This is an unsolicited one. If I want to get one, I can come down to the question mark, click, and we'll do that later when we get stuck. On the left side we have our tool pane. You'll see Andes works a lot like PowerPoint. You have a line tool, rectangle, ellipse, text, equation, vector, z-axis, so that you can change the vector between the z-axis and not. That's for problems that are z-axis enabled. This one doesn't need it, and so it's grayed out and you can't click on it. And you have the axis tool. You can zoom in, zoom out, or go to 100%. I was already at 100%. So let's go ahead and start the problem. A swimmer wishes to reach a swimming float which is 200 meters away, 35 degrees west of north. Find the x and y component of the swimmer's displacement. In most problems, I like to start out by drawing the axis. So I'm going to come over to the axis tool, click on it, enables it. I'm going to come over to the canvas, click, and drag out. In yellow you see the angle, so if I want 12 degrees I just let go right here. It gives me some labels. I'm just going to go with the default, and it turns red. The cool thing about Andes is that it lets you know immediately how you're doing. In this case we did it wrong, that's why it's red. If I click here I get an anchor point, and I can drag down. I'm going to go to 0 so it's square against the screen, click off, and now it's green, and that means that we have it right. Okay, so first thing, the problem, it talks about a swimmer. I'm going to grab an ellipse and draw it down here to represent the swimmer and call it swimmer. Next I'm going to look up at the problem. It says 200 meters away, 35 degrees west of north. I have a magnitude and a direction, which sounds like a vector to me, so I'm going to click on the vector tool and I'm going to drag a vector. Let's see, north would be 90 degrees, 35 more would be 125. Let's say I don't know what to name this. I'm just going to try swimmer distance. Andes didn't like that. So I'm going to come over here. If I'm stuck and don't know what to do, I'm going to come over here and click on the question mark, see if I can get some help. Here it says, I cannot understand your definition. So obviously it was expecting something else. I'm going to go up in the menu here and click on the manual and see if we can figure out what it wanted. So in the manual I have drawing tool, summaries, math notation, and here I have a section called defining quantities. It couldn't understand my definition, so I'm going to try to make it look like one of these three. I'm going to go back, and if I click on the vector, I get this yellow box. If I double click on it I can edit the label. So now I'm going to say let D be the displacement of the swimmer. And that's correct. Another way I could have changed that is by selecting it, deleting it, and just drawing it out again. Alright. I'm going to show you another option for labeling this one. And that works too. Okay, I'm going to move this up here. Now the displacement was 200 meters, so I'm going to grab my equation tool. Click here and say D equals 200 meters. It says that I did it wrong. How did I do it wrong? I'm going to go up in the menu, in the physics menu, look at the units, and here it says Andes uses SI units. So that means that for meter, I'm supposed to symbolize it with an M. So I'm going to come back, double click on it, and that's right. Now we need to break it down in the X and Y component. So if I grab the equation tool and come back over here, I can say D underscore X for the X component, and Andes understands that that's the X component of D, equals D times cosine of 125 degrees DEG for degrees. You can look that up again in the menu if you forget. Equation again, d underscore y equals d times sine of 125 degrees. Andes is really cool because once you have the equations all set up, it will solve for you. So if I just click here, say d underscore x equals, and I put a question mark, after pushing enter, it will fill in the correct value. We'll do that for y too. So d underscore y equals question mark. And now we have our answers. So I can come over here. For the x component, I have this answer box, which is negative 115 meters. For the y component, 164 meters. Both of those are correct. I've finished the problem, so now I can come up to the submit button, click, and congratulations, you've finished your first Andes problem.